Everyone remembers the utterly ridiculous yet infectious song My Humps by the Black Eyed Peas. The record, infamous for its absurd subject matter and irresistible charm, is easily one of the most unforgettable singles of the 2000s. In it, Fergie, the vocalist of the band, sing-raps about acquiring material possessions from men thanks to her voluptuous body parts. As the song picks up, listeners are reeled in by the enticing rhyming scheme and comedic storyline as the lead member of the group, will.i.am, confesses she's got me spending. Upon its release, music critics bashed the song for its mindless lyrics. Shockingly though, the song went on to win a Grammy for Best Pop Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocals. Most people would be even more surprised to discover the track was written entirely by two men. The individuals credited for the lyrics include will.i.am and David Payton. Now, My Humps is most certainly not the first song specifically written from a woman's point of view by a man. In fact, just a couple of months before the success of My Humps, the Pussycat Dolls released their breakout hit Don't Ya. That record, popular for its cheeky concept of a woman taunting a man about how much hotter she is than his girlfriend, was written by CeeLo Green. Unfortunately, the phenomenon of women singing songs written by men dates back to the very inception of the music industry. Historically, many of these songs limit the portrayal of women to being hypersexual, sassy, melodramatic, or hysterical. In this video, we will detail the stereotypes that are perpetuated of women in popular music by men. We will list the many female records primarily written by men that you're surely familiar with. Lastly, we'll explore the overwhelming disparity between men and women in the creative process of hit singles. So without further ado, let's begin. If My Humps failed to portray an over-exaggerated form of female sexuality, then Britney Spears' I'm a Slave for You is definitely more convincing. Throughout the song, Britney confesses her inability to resist the urge for submission to a man. The accompanying music video, displaying a profusely sweating Britney, among others in an abandoned bathhouse, is one that many of us have watched unbeknownst to our parents. The idea of Britney relinquishing control for the opposite sex is not in itself the problem. After all, women should be free to express their sexuality in whichever way they desire. Instead, the fact that the only credited songwriters are Pharrell Williams and Chad Hugo is what causes concern. More specifically, it speaks to the unavoidable double standard that exists between men and women in songwriting. While men have historically enjoyed the freedom to explore music through the lens of a female, the opposite scenario is almost non-existent. This is especially so in the context of women channeling male sexuality. Moreover, the thought of Pharrell or Chad singing I'm a Slave for You is outright comical. What may be even funnier is imagining them singing Milkshake by Khalees, which they also penned. That song, because of its sexual innuendos, went on to become an international smash. It is still used as a cultural reference to this day, most notably in Doja Cat's viral sensation, Moo. A more recent example of an overtly sexual female hit record written by men is Ariana Grande's Side to Side. The memorable track is easily one of Ariana's most racy and described by Rolling Stone as an ode to having so much sex that you can't walk straight the next day. Legendary producer and songwriter Max Martin, the man behind the song, is no stranger to assuming the woman's perspective, as he's famous for hits including Baby One More Time by Britney Spears, Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson, and Bang Bang by Jessie J, Ariana, and Nicki Minaj. Little did audiences know that Martin, along with countless others, was inadvertently shaping and informing our understanding of femininity as we know it. Some of the most beloved female hits are the ones with an undeniably sassy flair to them. There's something particularly compelling about a woman with an attitude that makes listeners empowered to mimic them. Yet, so many of these songs involve little to no help from any female songwriters. For example, iconic producer Darkchild, formerly known as Rodney Jerkins, had a string of hits with similar themes to them. Jerkins, alongside songwriter LaShawn Daniels, are the force behind some of the most popular songs of the late 90s and early 2000s, including Brandy and Monica's The Boy Is Mine, Whitney Houston's It's Not Right But It's Okay, Jennifer Lopez's If You Had My Love, Destiny's Child's Say My Name, and Toni Braxton's He Wasn't Man Enough. Whether it was Brandy and Monica quarreling over a man, or Beyoncé suspecting her partner of infidelity, each of these songs were written to resonate with a particular female defiance. This concept is also apparent when it comes to songs written by recording artist Ne-Yo. For instance, it's no surprise that Beyoncé's Irreplaceable and Rihanna's Take a Bow were both penned by the prolific songwriter. The two singles share a lot in common, as each of them features a female vocalist kicking out their unfaithful partner with a bold feistiness. When addressing some controversy surrounding the writing credits behind Irreplaceable, Ne-Yo stated, "I originally wrote the song for me. Once I realized how the song comes across if sung by a guy, that's when I decided to give it away." Considering this, it's reasonable to assume that Ne-Yo, much like the rest of us, believed a record with such sassiness was more aligned with stereotypes of femininity than masculinity. This notion of men reserving quote-unquote empowering songs for females is what also brought us hits such as Leave, Get Out by JoJo, Don't Mess With My Man by Nivea, Single Ladies by Beyoncé, and Hit 'Em Up Style by Blue Cantrell. Even Aretha Franklin's Respect, which is considered a feminist anthem, was originally written and recorded by Otis Redding. Finally, some people may remember a couple of years ago that during the success of the single Act Up by City Girls, word began to spread that the song was in fact written by Lil Yachty. In a 2019 interview, Lil Yachty admitted, "I wrote the whole song except for JT's last verse." He went on to further say, "Before I went into the booth, I said, 'No homo y'all,' because all of my boys was in the room." No one should be shocked by this fact, as the song is famous for its mouthiness and provocative lyrics. More specifically, it's almost unheard of for men to rap in such a manner, as it would definitely arouse ridicule. To this day, Act Up by City Girls, along with many of the previously mentioned tracks, are some of the most notable songs released by each artist. After learning all of the earlier mentioned information, it's clear that there are systemic issues within the music industry. In 2018, a study by the University of Southern California Annenberg Inclusion Initiative sought to quantify some of the suspicions surrounding the disparity between men and women in music making. What they found caused deep concern and scrutiny from the public. Through examining 600 songs from the Billboard Hot 100 between 2012 and 2017, the study announced that only 22% of those records were by female artists. What makes matters worse is that only 12% of the songs included female songwriters. The topic of production is unsurprisingly the bleakest, with male producers outnumbering females 49-1. Following these findings, record companies made promises of change and pledges to hire more women in the studio. However, 3 years later, an update to the original study found little to no change in the numbers. Eventually, TuneCore, an independent digital music distribution company, paired with Media Research to conduct surveys on the potential reasons behind the Annenberg findings. Participants involved in the questionnaires included 401 female artists, songwriters, producers, and DJs. More than half of the respondents, 64% to be exact, named sexual harassment and objectification as a major problem facing women in the music industry. With the rise of the Me Too movement, it's unfortunately predictable to assume that this is true. Musicians such as Alanis Morissette, Lady Gaga, and like many of us remember, Kesha, have all admitted to being raped during the early years of their careers. Some female artists and songwriters claim that recording studios inevitably become recognized as unsafe places for them. Consequently, women have a harder time maintaining longevity and rising in the ranks of the music scene. Another barrier for women is ageism, as 38% of surveyees admitted is an ongoing issue in the music industry. The music industry wants female artists to be young, partly a symptom of the industry's youth obsession, but also so that women become successful before they are presumed to decide to take on the role of motherhood, the study says. The third and final theory for the lack of female creatives in music is male-dominated resources. A prime example includes the A&R, short for Artists and Repertoire Department of music labels. These individuals are responsible for talent scouting and artist development. According to the most recent edition of the A&R registry, women made up a mere 18% of more than 1,800 A&Rs worldwide. In a 2020 article, Billboard magazine interviewed several A&R women in the industry. Lanra Gaba, executive vice president of A&R at Atlantic Records, along with others, recounted watching their male colleagues make lyrical decisions based on their perceived notions of what women want to hear, while disregarding input from the actual women in the room. This exact detail speaks directly to many of the aforementioned stereotypes explored in this video. Additionally, it reveals an example of how much influence men wield in the creative process of hit music. Despite all that's been uncovered, there's still enough reason to be optimistic about women in music. After all, there are plenty of female anthems over the past several decades that have been written by women. Artists such as Mariah Carey, Madonna, Janet Jackson, Missy Elliott, Beyoncé, Alicia Keys, and countless others have contributed significantly to the hit-making process. In contemporary music, Taylor Swift, Adele, Lady Gaga, Nicki Minaj, SZA, Doja Cat, and Billie Eilish are just a few names in the list of singer-songwriters. The transparency of the creative process behind music is one way to raise awareness to the general public. As a result, not only will females feel more encouraged to take autonomy over their expression, but male producers and songwriters will be more eager to collaborate with them. Still, there is much work to be done from a systemic standpoint. Without the active support of record labels and industry professionals, much of the statistics provided by the Annenberg Initiative will remain stagnant. Hopefully, in the near future, it will also become normalized for women to write songs for men. Maybe this is the ideal. As the famous quote by Norman Vincent Peale goes, "Shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars." Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. What are your thoughts about the disparity between men and women in popular music? Are you hopeful about the future? Lastly, what are some of your favorite female anthems or songwriters?